Thank you, Rico, and happy Friday, everyone. Hope you guys got great plans for the weekend and you do something in the great outdoors. My story today comes from the marijuana moment, and it highlights a federally funded study that we're going to talk about. And the title of the article in Marijuana Moment is States that ban marijuana may unintentionally promote unregulated Delta 8 THC products, federally funded study finds. This is from Kyle Yeager at Marijuana Moment. So, people in states where marijuana is illegal are significantly more likely to have used products containing lesser known cannabinoids like Delta 8 THC, signaling that prohibition may unintentionally promote usage of loosely regulated products, according to a new federally funded study published in the American Medical Association. The research letter published in the Journal of the American Medical Association Open Network on Wednesday contains what it says is the first ever set of scientific data on use trends for emerging cannabinoids such as Delta 8 THC, CBG, and CBN, as well as a number of CBD products that are consumed. Researchers at the University of Michigan, University of Buffalo, and Legacy Research Institute analyzed survey data from 1,169 adults from June 22nd to June 26th, and the results showed that the use of CBD has increased by 50% since 2019, with more than 1 out of 5 Americans, or 21%, reporting in the past year usage of the non-intoxicating cannabinoid. There's a notable progression, likely reflecting the increase in availability of CBD and other cannabinoids following federal legalization of hemp and its derivatives in the Farm Bill in 2018. Overall, 25% of the respondents reported using the emerging cannabinoid in the past year. About 12% of the respondents used Delta 8 THC, 5.2% used CBG, and about 4.4% used CBN. Higher Delta 8 THC use in states without medical or adult use cannabis laws suggest that prohibition may unintentionally be promoting Delta 8 THC use, the study says. Among the people who used cannabis in the past year, those living in non-legal states were more than twice as likely to have used Delta 8. Wow, twice as likely. That's pretty significant. This seems to reinforce a broader trend that numerous studies have identified over recent years. Providing legal access to regulated marijuana diverts people away from using unregulated cannabis. Well, duh, right? Come on. In the case, without having that access, people in non-legal states are taking advantage of the gray market of cannabinoids that may be technically legal under federal hemp laws, but are increasingly being targeted in state markets due to the lack of regulation and the lack of data on health impacts of products like Delta 8 THC. Because, or based on these results, we support ongoing public health surveillance efforts targeting emerging cannabinoids because of the lack of industry standards to protect consumers and similar pharmacology or effects to Delta 9 THC. Its hemp derived impairing analogs like Delta 8 THC, Delta 8 THC acetate, and alike, which may be of particular concern for adults and adolescents, the study concludes. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to the study, and let's just talk about the study itself. Again, this is paid for by your tax dollars, paid for by a NIDA grant. NIDA is the National Institute of Drug Abuse, which goes to what Dr. T and I have been saying all along, is that in order to get federal funding to look at any aspect of cannabis, you have to write to the agency that automatically puts it into the bad bucket of something that people are going to abuse. So the title of this paper, which appeared in December 13th, 2023 in JAMA, which is the Journal of the American Medical Association, is entitled Past Use, Prevalence of Cannabidiol, Cannabigerol, Cannabinol, and Delta-8 Cannabinol amongst U.S. adults. And I'll just go down to the discussion of the results. Again, they looked at over 1,100 of 600 and 6,000 patients, so 17.5% in the survey, and asked them all kinds of questions around use of these drugs. So you can read about the article, but I find it again very interesting that it's the National Institute of Drug Abuse that's basically funding this work. It's pointing out what we kind of already know, which is that when people don't have unfettered access to high quality cannabis, humans want to use cannabis, so they're going to resort to these other products. And here's now a federal study with a lot of money transacting and a lot of salaries paid and a lot of nice cars being driven by the people who did this study, basically prove what we already know, which is that people need access to cannabis. This is Dr. Mark from the great state of Vermont. Be interested in hearing what y'all have to say about this wonderful study that proves the obvious.
Man, right? Yes. What do you think about this, Dr. T?
This happened with alcohol. Back in alcohol prohibition, more concentrated forms of alcohol were used because it was easier to hide, right? And so people started drinking more potent alcohol. So prohibition created an increase in drinking of stronger spirits. Prohibitive laws are problematic in general. The Controlled Substances Act is a bad act. It needs to be repealed. It causes problems, in multiple different demographics, including, poor communities. Forget descheduling, repeal the Controlled Substances Act. That's really the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I was just going to add, there's just a couple different things just to talk about here, and that one is that these are definitely deliberately targeting through misleading labeling and branding. Brands like Doritos and Fruit Roll-Ups and things that are definitely targeted towards kids to try to get them thinking about this early. But the other thing is that, the DEA has been pretty clear about things that are made synthetically. So if you're doing cannabinoid synthesis, which is basically what they're doing, they're starting with CBD, which was legal because it came from legal hemp. But what they're doing is they're now doing active pharmaceutical ingredient synthesis by taking CBD as a starting material, doing chemistry to it, and now ending up with a reaction mixture which they have to purify. That's the essence, is that these things are made like active pharmaceutical ingredients and should be regulated by the FDA. They're not extracted from a plant. They're being made. Granted, they're being made from a plant-derived precursor that's legal, CBD, but if you could convert CBD into ricin poison, do you think that ricin poison would be? You can't do that chemically.
Yeah.
But would that ricin poison be legal because it comes from Farm Bill legal CBD? No. Mm-hmm. So I think the fact is that end cannabis prohibition and this market for these recreational synthetics, I think, will go away.
Yeah, and so what I was going to do, I was piling on to Dr. T's comment there in the Prohibition era. Not only were a lot of the citizens like making their own brews and very, very, very heavily concentrated stuff, but also the U.S. government poisoned the shit out of a ton of people in an effort to stop, the bootlegging, and ended up killing a ton of people that way too. So I mean, prohibition like leads to a bunch of fuckery like that. But also, I got going a little further with you, Dr. Mark. Like 100%. Like this is. I always bring it back to, I think it was Leah in the audience from Texas and a bunch of other Texans for saying like Delta 8's all we have available, right? And they were not trying to go to like unsavory products or anything like that, but that's all they had available, and to mitigate some of that pain.
But no, I would argue that's not all that they have available. I would say that's the most accessible.
They don't have dispensaries everywhere in Texas.
I'm not even talking about dispensaries. I'm just saying that weed is out there and you can find people. Now, granted, it might be harder for other people to do that, but it's still there. And so what we're really talking about is a level of access, not whether or not it's there.
Right. I mean, if you're not connected, and
there's quite a few players down in Texas who are playing that THCA game, who thinks that because it's THCA and not Delta 9 THC, that it's okay. And I think that one thing you were saying,
is the one place I would not play that game. They'll be heavy-handed with the response.
It's kind of like a chicken or the egg, but the thing is humans want cannabis, right? So it's like. Right. Is it the availability of these things that have these people on them, or is it the fact that they don't have access to cannabis? If they had access to cannabis, they would think Delta 8 is a version of the COVID flu, right?
That's what they think. Yeah, I think I'm paraphrasing obviously, but I think what she was saying was a lot of people who have ailments and have pain, they see the benefits of cannabis, and they see more of these stories out there of the benefits of cannabis, and they say, oh, THC, and they're going for it. Or they know there's a derivative, and they're like, oh, this is going to help my pain. And next thing you know, your rooftop in Austin, dabbing up some Delta 8 with Stone Slate.
Oh, boy. Oh, we got it.